Hi. Before going to video, please subscribe to my channel for more interesting stuff. Story from r/TIFU. Posted by u/APZ18. Today I fucked up by not turning my location off while I was being a hoe. This actually happened Monday, 3/2, and while I'm still sorting through my emotions, I've processed enough to get it out. Let me set the scenario for you. First, a couple weeks ago a young man I went to high school with slid into my DMs. We connected over some common interests we had. We talked about our careers. There was a lot of back and forth. I honestly didn't see it going anywhere until I'm assuming he worked up the nerve to invite me over to his house. Now, he still lives in my hometown. I moved a couple years back to a town about an hour away. I wasn't entirely interested in going to see him at first. So I turned him down a couple times thinking eventually he would give up and it would fizzle out. More time passed and we kept talking occasionally. Every once in a while he would ask me to come over. Eventually, I made plans to visit my parents, who live in the same town. I figured what the hell, why not? And went to his house the night before I planned on seeing my parents. It was a nice time. We hung out, watched a movie, had snacks, one thing led to another and we did the deed. It was a good time. So the next morning as I'm making my way out to see my parents, he asks me if I wanted to come back that night. Again, I figured what the hell, why not? I didn't have an obligations to hurry back home to, so I agreed. I went to see my parents. We hung out, we ate, we had a good time. Before I forget, here's the thing about my parents. They are devoutly religious. My dad is actually a pastor. My parents never gave me a proper sex talk. Abstinence is the only way and God sees all is what I got. Much less, did my parents ever think I would have a sex life. Thankfully, I had other resources in my life that helped educate me on the subject. And now as a confident 25-year-old woman, I keep my sex life separate from my family because ultimately I never wanted to disappoint them. More dramatically, did not want anyone to fear for my soul. So that evening I say goodbye to my parents and head back to this young man's house. Again, we had a good time. It was very chill. We didn't even have sex. We just enjoyed each other's company. Eventually we fell asleep. So before bed I double-checked to make sure my location services are turned off in case for some reason a family member decides to get nosy. I leave my phone on the other side of the room and we go to bed. Sometime around 8:30 the following morning, I'm woken up by a loud banging on the door. The guy gets up to open the door. My eyes are still closed and I hear, "Where's my daughter?" My eyes fly open and I see both of my parents standing in the doorway. I blink at them for a couple seconds because I've had this dream before. There's no way this could actually be happening. I see my dad arguing with the guy whose bed I've been in. I hear my dad threatening to call the police and I snap out of it. I turn and my mom is crying and yelling at me to get dressed. I don't really remember, but somehow I'm up and I'm grabbing my things and telling everybody to shut up and calm down. I'm pretty sure I was still in shock when I got into my car because my dad told me to follow him home and I just did it. Back at my parents' house, my mom is still crying. My dad is yelling at me about STDs, protection, unwanted pregnancy, God, etc. My mom, still crying, is asking me why I would do this. She keeps asking if I'm lonely and wanted a man and that there is a man out there that God has selected for me. And I know at this point, most of you are thinking you're grown-ass women. And believe me, the irony is not lost on me. My father, having the sex talk that we should have had when I was a teenager. My mother, somehow making this about how much this is going to affect her and sobbing like I died. As much as it all angered me and still angers me, I realized there was no effective conversation to be had. I still receive paragraphs worth as text messages from my mom saying how she's praying for me and hope I'll turn away from my life of sin. She slut-shamed me and said no one is ever going to respect me. She's tried to guilt me by saying I've lied to and deceived my whole family. At some point I just stopped responding. I stopped reading. I'm wrapping this up. I let them ask me whatever questions they needed to ask me. I told them I was safe and I've taken care of myself for the past 8 years since I started having sex. When they got done, my dad asked me what I planned on doing next. I grabbed my things, stood up and said I'm going home. Got in my car and left. Oh, so here's how I got caught. My sleepy brain turned the location's services off for a different app. Not the one that allows people to see where I am. And I still am unsure of all the details of how it escalated that far. Honestly, I don't care enough to figure it out. That morning around 7 a.m. somebody in my family decided to ask how I was and where I was. Why? I don't have a fucking clue. But that led to my parents asking all my siblings. Someone almost driving to my house to find me, and eventually, my parents tracking me down. Again, I don't completely understand the series of events that took place that lead to this overdramatic overreaction. So there it is. I guess the bright side is that I no longer have to feel like I'm two different people anymore. And lastly, I apologize to typos. I wrote this out on my phone and I tried to proofread it, but rereading all of this is cringy for me. TL, doctor, my parents found out that I'm sexually active and now think I'm going to hell. Edit, I've been scrolling through comments and you guys are completely right that I should reach out to this poor guy. Or the young man, as some of you have pointed out repeatedly, smiley face, it just felt right as the time. That's all I can say. I am going to reach out and apologize. Thank you all for reading, laughing, sharing your own stories, and leaving comments. Even the hateful ugly ones. Take care guys. Story from r/TIFU. Posted BYU watering the jellyfish. TIFU by explaining my synesthesia to my boyfriend. I have grapheme color synesthesia. Basically I see letters and numbers in colors. The letter E being green, for example. A couple months ago I was explaining it to my boyfriend, who's a bit of a skeptic. He asked me what color certain letters and numbers were and had me write them down. Since then he'll randomly quiz me and compare my answer to what I said a few months ago. Always being the same-ish as course. He still seemed a bit skeptic, as if maybe I just memorized them really well. Tonight we were laying in bed and my boyfriend quizzed me again. I tried explaining to him I just see the colors automatically when I visualize the letters in my head. I asked him what color are the letters in his head. He looked at me weirdly like, what do you mean in my head? That's not a thing. My boyfriend didn't understand what I meant by visualizing the letters. He didn't believe me that I can visualize letters or even visualize anything in my head. Turns out my boyfriend has aphantasia. When he tries to visualize stuff he just sees blackness. He can't picture anything in his mind and thought that everyone else had it the same way. He thought it was just an expression to say picture this or etc. It's crazy to him the fact that I can picture his face without looking at him or a banana without looking at it. Now I have a boyfriend that is really upset. He feels like his world is turned upside down and everybody else has this cool superpower. He's been texting all his friends and see if they can imagine stuff and realizing I wasn't pulling his chain. He's pretty upset and I feel really bad. TLDR tried to explain what having synesthesia is like to my BF and turned his life upside down by finding out he has aphantasia. Can't visualize anything at all. Edit, oh wow, this blew up. I just wanted to say my boyfriend wasn't being a jerk when it came to quizzing me. It was more of a fun curiosity thing / science experiment. He never thought I was lying. I think it's one thing to wrap your head around synesthesia when you can visualize normally, but it's way harder when you have aphantasia. Story from r/TIFU. Posted by u/revelations. Today I fucked up. I had the most embarrassing booty call ever. Tonight's booty call went horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. After almost a year of separation, my divorce was finalized this week. And what a better way to celebrate than with a good old-fashioned booty call. I had recently reconnected with a man I had previously had some playtime with. The last time we were together, I had what was probably the best sex of my life. So to say I was excited to be talking with him again was an understatement. After some basic chat, we made plans to meet up tonight. This next tidbit may seem like TMI, but it's important to the story. My IUD does not play nice and more often than not I'm bleeding to some extent. Tonight included. But he was fine with that, so we kept our plans. He comes over, and things instantly get heated. More mind-blowing sex commences. Hot, steamy, sheet-soaking sex. We take some time to recharge and go for a round 2. Not as hot and steamy, but still damn good. I lay down next to him, but under the covers. He gets up and starts getting dressed. We have some small talk, and then he walks over to my side of the bed and looks at the floor. What is that? He says. What? I look over the edge of the bed. There are 2 dark spots on the floor. I'll clean it up. You know what this is, right? He asks. I'm pretty sure it's not blood, he interrupts. That's not red. What? Again, he says that's not blood. That's brown. You know what that is? No. I stammer. That can't be. I would have known if that happened. He just starts laughing, double checks his socks, and heads down my stairs, and out the door. Y'all. I came so hard, I pooped. Somehow, during round 1, my body was contracting so intensely, I actually dropped 2 small turds. And since my ass was off the edge of the bed, they landed on my bedroom floor without either of us noticing. In my defense, I had just finished a round of Augmentin a few days prior, and my stomach is still readjusting. Pretty sure he has already deleted my contact info. He's given me the best sex of my life, and it's most likely never happening again. TL, doctor, I pooped during some of the best sex of my life. He took off as soon as we realized what happened. Bye amazing sex. Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos.